Hi there. Welcome to our eFront webinar series. And today we're going to talk about how you can use branches to expand your training. I'm Nick here. I'm a customer education trainer, but I'm not alone. I have today with me, Mary.
Hi everyone, I'm Mary, I'm the Customer Education Manager, and today we will help you expand your training with branches.
That's right. And we're going to hear from Mary just a bit more later on. Just to let you also know, in regards to today's webinar, the webinar is going to be recorded. So since you already signed up and registered, you're going to receive in your email a copy of this webinar when it is uploaded on the cloud, so you can share it with the rest of the team. I just want to mention here that we have together with us George. George is here to assist you in regards to any questions that you might have in the chat. And what you can do is, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you have a small interface with the Zoom panel, and it says at the bottom Q&A. What you can do, you can click on the Q&A button there, and it's going to actually open the chat for you. And you can ask a question, and George will be more than happy to answer live your questions. This webinar is going to be roughly an hour in terms of duration. And let's see the specifics of what are we going to talk about today. So as we mentioned before, we're going to talk, of course, about the branches, and we're going to see what branches are, how we're going to use them. We're also going to see how you can create branches and how you can manage them to actually fit your organization. We're going to have a look finally at the branch settings. And we're going to look this in a dual way. We're going to look at the branch settings from the admin perspective. So the overall admin of eFront, how do they deal with branches and how they can set them up. But also we will see from the side of the branch administrator, who is the person who is dedicated to managing the branches. And we're going to see how they can set up themselves. So with that said, let's briefly make an introduction in regards to the branches themselves so that we know what we're talking about. So what do we mean when we talk about branches? Well, when we talk about branches, we are basically talking about a very simple concept, but extremely powerful in eFront. And actually, it is one of the flagship features available in the platform. Now, when we specifically talk about branches, we are talking about having an independent e-learning portal that is actually one or multiple levels below your main site. It is uniquely configured, it is uniquely branded, and it's separate from your main site. The big advantage is that you still create it and manage it as your own administrator without needing anything additional in your account subscription. Do you have any limitations on how many branches you can have? Absolutely not. You can have as many branches as you want. They are already included with your subscription. So you can set them up, and we'll see in a bit how we can do so to actually fit exactly the needs of your organization. So before we talk more about branches, I think Mary can help us out in identifying the ways in which branches benefit our organization.
Yes, that's great. Let's talk how we can use branches. You will understand why it is perhaps the most popular feature we have in eFront, by discussing the benefits. So first of all, as Nick said, you have the ability to create separate training environments. So if your organization is working in different locations and you want to offer a training environment for each location because they usually come with their own settings, rules, and languages, you can create a branch. Or if you want with just one tool to train many different departments, for example, courses for marketing are usually different from courses that we have for the sales team. You can create branches for every team, and they will see a specific set of courses, the ones that are assigned to that branch. You might also be using eFront to train your own customers. So they come with their own employees or even partners. And by creating branches for each case, you will be able to create, again, a separate training environment where they will have their own users, their own courses, and access to their own reports. It's also much easier to manage. You might have thinking that, oh my God, I will need to have more front installations so I can train everybody. No, you don't have to do that. Just with one tool, with your main site, you will start creating many different branches and train every department, team that you want, all for one tool. And it's also a great way to customize your training. Again, especially for the ones that are training different customers, they usually have their own branding, they have their own logo, they have their own themes. So we can create a branch that not only has specific courses for the training needs, but it would also look like an extension of their branding. So it's a familiar environment where the employees can be trained on. And again, you're just using the same tool, it's everything in one tool, but you customize every branch. And finally, you can protect your data. And what I mean, we hear a lot that we want managers to be able to access only information for their own employees. How can we do that? Well, you can isolate people, you can restrict them in the branches they belong to. So this way they will be able to see just the courses and documents that you have shared with that branch. And if you are an administrator in a branch, you won't be able to see information from other branches. You will be able to see only information for your own team. So that's why it's a very popular feature. And now we will see within the platform how we can create our own branches.
So thanks a lot, Mary. Indeed. So what we're going to do next, let's move over to eFront. So let me just briefly share my screen here. And of course, we can see that we are already logged in to our portal here, and we are logged in as the administrator. I'm pretty sure you're already familiar with this view. So we have a dedicated tab for branches here, and we can access that and see what we have already in place in my specific portal. So as you see, I have quite a lot of branches available. And of course, I could add more, but as you see, it's a lot of branches. So what is the first step that we can do in order to track our branches? For that, we can go to our organization chart. So what you can do, you can click here in the organization chart, and let's just make it a bit bigger to see what we have available. So you see, I have these 4 initial branches here, but you see this little triangle. What I can do is I can click on that. It's going to expand, and I'm going to see what I have inside this branch. So I see the names of people. You might notice that some of these people have their names in bold. Why do these people have their names in bold font? This is because they have elevated permissions here. So this basically means that they are branch administrators or dedicated people with higher permissions, which can actually do some additional work within my branch. A key thing to note, though, and this is very important in eFront, and it's honestly one of the key features of the platform, is the fact that you can have nested branches. What do we mean with nested branches? Basically, we mean branches within branches. So as you see, I have my corporate Europe and Middle East, but within this, I have other branches. So I have my customer service, my HR, my marketing, my operations, and my sales. And all of these, you see the little symbol for the house, which represent a branch. And all of these branches are under my corporate EMEA region, basically. So it is very easy to keep track of what is happening. It is very easy to create branches that are going to reflect on the structure of your organization so that you can set it up the way you want to. So let me just bring this back to its original size. And let's try and create a new branch. So as I saw, in Europe and Middle East, I have a branch called Sales. What I would like to do is to create actually a dedicated branch for my SDR people. So I can click on Add Branch, and let's be prepared to create a new branch. And first off, of course, I need to give my branch a name. So how can I give a branch my name? I can type it. So I'm going to type it and call it SDR, because these are the people that we're going to have here. And here is a very important choice. I get to determine the parent branch. If I leave it blank, then it's going to be a branch that sits exactly below my main portal, so on the highest level. But maybe what I want to do is to have this under Europe and Middle East. So I'm just going to select here Europe and Middle East, and I'm ready to add it. However, I have another option as well. I can set up a domain name for this specific branch. What does this mean? Maybe I can use a custom URL, or maybe I can name it however I want. Do you want to tell us more about it, Mary?
Yes, please. Well, let me explain the way it works. When learners are assigned to a branch, they are taken to the branches portal, even if they use the main site URL. in eFront, unless you want to have a custom URL for every branch. So you can create a branch perhaps for your customers. They want to use a different URL, not the URL of your main site for branding purposes. And then with a custom URL, again, they will end up directly to their branch. So no matter the URL you use, if a learner or an admin belongs to a specific branch, they will be directed to their own branch.
That's absolutely right. So basically, if you want, it depends on your structure, really. This is the flexibility of eFront. You can set it up in a way that works for you. If you want everybody to log in from your central page, and from there they can automatically be associated with the correct branches, by all means, you can do that. If you want to create bespoke branches with their own login addresses, maybe to address a partner or a vendor that needs to have their own specific web address, by all means, again, you can set it up like that. Right now, because we're doing also this for demo purposes, we're going to leave this blank so we don't need to set up a specific name for this branch. So I'm just going to click Add here. And we see that the branch is created. Now the system is going to prompt me to add users, which actually makes a lot of sense. We want to add people to a branch. This is why we made it. So first off, I want to assign some branch administrators. I see here, I have these two people, they're branch administrators. So I will click on no and make it a yes. And now I have two different branch administrators here, so I can delegate some tasks as well. And then let's add a couple of learners. And we're going to add, for example, two instructors. So I added enough people. Here is a key thing that I want you to remember. I want you to take away from this. One person can only be in one branch, which basically means all the people, the list of all the people that I see available on this branch, the people that I can allocate to this branch, are people who are only available on the main site. So this means I cannot, from this screen at least, take a user from one branch and move it to another. These are all available people that I have from the main site. Of course, as we create a branch, we sure want to give them courses. So we can click on our courses tab. And since this is a branch for our SDR people, let's give them the sales basics course. We want to give them the sales advanced course and maybe an introduction to marketing, so we can give them the general marketing course. In addition to courses, I can give them curriculums. And we mentioned curriculums actually in a previous webinar, which you can always check out. But just to briefly talk about curriculums, it's a bundle of courses that you can create a curriculum with. And if you want, this can lead to a specific certification. So let's give them the curriculum for sales. And we are ready. So we created the branch, we added users, we added courses, we added the curriculum as well. Before we leave the screen, let's have a look at our settings to see what we can set up. And straight away, you see we have three options. LDAP and SAML are options that apply in case you use an SSO. If you use an SSO, you already know what the solution is. So if you want, you could click here and set up LDAP or set up SAML based on what you have on your specific or plans. For example, this is very useful, again, if we're talking about external training, when you want to dedicate a branch to a partner or a vendor, then you can set it up like that and set up the provider and all the settings for the SSO specific vendor has, and it's only going to apply there. It's not going to apply everywhere. But let's see also the actual options that we have available to us. We can give a name for the branch. We can set up a motto as well if we want, and we can set up a language and a theme. I could set up a different language, but right now, since we're working in English and my default is English, I'm going to leave it as such. If you leave this blank, then the system is going to use the default language. The same applies to the theme. If I select a specific theme to apply, it's going to apply to this branch only. But if you leave it blank, it's going to inherit the theme from its parent branch. Also, maybe you have a contract. Again, we're talking external training here. So maybe you have a contract with a specific partner, and your contract is to train a specific amount of users there. In that case, you can set up here a limit in terms of how many people are going to be able to be registered in this specific branch. So if you do that, you can set up a limit, maybe, for example, for 500 people. This will cap the amount of users that I have in my branch, and I will be very easy to make sure that my partner is going to stick to what is agreed, and no more people will be able to be added. Also, if you want, you can limit the concurrent users that are available in the branch if you want to limit how many people will be able to access it on the same time. Right now, we are okay with our settings, so let's click on Save. And now branch is saved. Let's go back to our branches and see where it is. So here's a list of all of our branches, and here is the SDR branch we created. Actually, let's look at the organization chart to see exactly where it is. So we can click on the organization chart. Let me blow it up as well for you. And Corporate Europe and Middle East, we can expand it. We see again our learners here, but here is the SDR branch we just added. And again, if I want, I can expand and see that I have added these people here in the branch. A thing that you can always do is that you have the flexibility to move around a branch. So for example, here I did put the SDR under Corporate Europe and Middle East, but actually maybe this was not the correct thing to do. Maybe I wanted to move SDR under Sales, which is under Europe and Middle East. Do I need to do the branch again all the way from the beginning? Do I need to create anything? No, we can just move the branch. So let me show you how you can do this. You can find your branch again. So here is our SDR branch. And all we have to do is change the parent. Right now it's under Corporate Europe and Middle East. What I would like to do is to bring it under Corporate Europe and Middle East, but under Sales. So we're going to move it one more level down. And we're going to update the settings. And very easily, if I go back to my branches and I check my organization chart, I'm going to see Corporate Europe and Middle East. Here is my Sales. And now the branch I had created, SDR, moved under Sales. Together with the branch, all the users moved, but also all the courses my users had moved along together. So nothing to worry about. You can move around the branch and it can actually go wherever you need to go. So if you need to consolidate or restructure, very easy to move your people along. A last thing here in regards to the branch itself has to do with what happens if you want to delete it. So if for any reason, instead of moving this branch, I just want to delete it, then the system is not going to let me straight away just delete it and get rid of it, because it lets me know first off that deleting the branch will result in having all the people inside the branch and all the sub branches below it be deleted as well. But in addition to that, it asks me what is the intention with the people that are already in this branch and below. So I can choose right now, if I were to delete this branch, where do I want to move the users? I can move them to a specific other branch, or maybe if I don't want that, I can just leave this blank and then they're going to be moved to my main site. However, we're not going to delete the branch. We want to keep things here so that we want to see a couple of more things in regards to this branch. So I'm going to cancel out of this. So our branch is created. We have our users. We have our courses. What else can we do for this branch? There's a lot of different things we can do as the platform admin when we're talking about customizing the branch and things that we can set up already on the level that we are. So what can I do as the branch admin? First off, we have themes. A lot of people care about themes. A lot of people might want to use the branch and they might want to brand it, especially if it's for external training. So let's see how we can do that. I can click on the themes option here. And of course, I'm going to be in the page where I build my homepage and I change my theme. So let's go to the theme first. And you see, I have a lot of different themes here. I could add a new one, or I could add an already existing one. So I'm just going to edit this one. If you edit a theme, you have the ability to click and set branch ownership. We'll see this button a lot in just a bit. Basically, what you can do is by clicking here, you can determine which branch this theme is going to be exclusive to. In other words, this means that this specific theme that you just created is only going to be available as a theme option only for this branch and any branches below that. So you can basically limit which branches have the ability to use this theme. And of course, you can limit it here specifically, or you can have it in some other place. Also very critical is the ability to make a specific web page for your branch. Just a note here, if you want to have a specific web page for your branch, then you have to remember that you created a URL for your branch, because if everybody is logging in from the main page and then they get redirected automatically to the branch, they won't get the chance to see its own homepage. So keep that in mind. So what can you do? Right now, this is my homepage as it is, and my system has checked this option to override the layout of the branches, which means the web page I'm going to create here is going to be the homepage that is defaultly used everywhere. If I want to have this just on a specific branch, what we can do is uncheck this, and now we are ready to make our changes. And we can change things around however we want. And actually from here, we can associate it to a specific branch. So by all means, if that is what you want, you can select a specific branch here, make your changes, and then you can have a bespoke homepage for this specific branch. What else can we change as the main admin of the platform? Again, a couple of different things that we can change, but let's talk about the extended profile. The extended profile is a very common way for admins to get additional information from their users, or maybe to add additional fields to courses in order to be able to better quantify the results that they're getting, in order to be able to have more information for the people that are using the platform. If we make a new extended field here, or I could edit the already existing one, and of course you get to name it, to give it a label. Let's say right now that this is going to be for users. And what I'm asking here is just a simple checkbox, and I'm asking people if they're working from home or not. So if it applies to them, they can check it. If it doesn't, they will leave it unchecked. If we click here, you see again, click to set branch ownership. We have the ability to change where this is going to be visible. If we leave it as it was, it's going to be visible everywhere, which means I'm asking everybody in my platform if they're working from home or not. Or maybe I want to limit this to a specific branch. If I do that, then we narrow this down and we're asking this specific question only to people within a specific branch. So this way you can have specific extended profiles, either for your courses or most commonly for your users that are limited to a specific branch. Another customization that you can do in regards to branches has to do with your courses. So if I click here again to get the list of all of my courses, and let's say, for example, that we're looking at this course here, and we're going to click on the properties of the course. Right here, we have the option to see the advanced settings of the course. And I want to talk about these two checkboxes, show on catalog and show on main catalog. Both of these are very important because you get to determine how the course appears for your learners. So the first option is to just have the course showing on the catalog, which means if I have this course and I associate it with a branch, then my learners within this branch will be able to see the course if they look in their catalog. And if this is something they are interested in, they can just pick up the course and enroll themselves into it. However, I also have this ability, show on main catalog. And if I check this, the course, even if I give it to branches, again, it will be available to be shown on the branches, but also it will be shown on the main site as well. So I can control if a course I create is going to be visible to the learners of the branch, or if it's going to be, let's say, an a la carte course that you're going to go and just associate it and enroll individual people to the course and have it being hidden from anybody else from the catalog. So you have a lot of control when you just give a course to a specific branch. You have a lot of control on how it appears on the catalog and how your users can interact with it. We also can mention the certificates here. Of course, we know we create certificates and we give them to our learners. But a very important thing that you can do is, if you want, you can create a certificate that is unique for a branch and all of its sub-branches. To do this, you can create a new one or edit an already existing one. And all the way at the bottom at the advanced settings, you have the ability to set the branch ownership. Exactly like before, you can click here and you can determine if this is going to be visible in all of your branches, or if you want to just have a specific branch be able to use this specific template. So in this way, if you want, you can create maybe a certificate that has a specific look and feel, maybe a specific branding, and basically lock it into being able to be used only by a specific branch, not by any other branches. This whole idea applies to our user management tools as well. Groups, jobs, audiences, and skills, all of these, if you want to create them, if you want to use them, whichever one of these you want to use, you can set them up to be branch specific. So not only do you get the branch with the users, but all of the user management tools, if you want, can be used to create a dedicated groups or jobs within your branch. So that's going to make the life of your users a lot easier, and it's going to make your administration more streamlined. Finally, locations. What are locations? Locations are used when we're talking about blended learning. And this is something that is very useful because blended learning is a way for you to engage your users, to have more interesting learning sessions as well. So you can create blended learning in one of two ways. You can either run webinars with the use of a tool, or you can have these be maybe a face-to-face one-on-one event, or maybe an event that takes place in an amphitheater, for example, or in another physical place. The important thing here is that when you add a new location, so one place where one of these blended learning events is going to take place, then it doesn't matter if it's a physical one or an online one, you have the ability to actually localize it. So you have the ability to set it again to be unique for a specific branch. This is very useful because, for example, maybe you have different offices, maybe you have different partners, and these maybe use different tools for their communication. So if I have a partner who has a dedicated branch and they are using Zoom, and I have a partner with another dedicated branch who is using Teams, no worries. I can create a location, use this option to set it to be uniquely owned by a branch and associated with the correct branch. So there are going to be no mix-ups. The people are only going to see the correct tool in front of them.
And that is great. As you realize, Nick spent a lot of time on the main side, not just working for the main side, but also for the branches. So let us know in the Q&A, are you working on the main side? Are you doing all the work for the branch admins? Or do you let administrators that are assigned to the branch to do things alone? Because now we're going to talk about how a branch admin can work in the platform. Again, you have spent a lot of time, you have provided the basis, you have provided courses to them, and now I'm sharing my screen to show you how you can view everything as a branch administrator. Now, that's a little trick. I am on the main side right now. I can go to users, and I will find someone who is an administrator in a branch and log in as them. So I remember that Nick add this person, Mr. Adams here, is the branch admin in the SDR branch. So the trick here is to impersonate my branch admin, and I will see what they see as branch administrators. And now I'm in a different training environment. It could look a lot of different if you want to have different logo and themes, even language. So now I'm going to show you how a branch admin can work independently in their own branch and make customizations. In case you haven't done this for them, they can still do that alone. So let's go in the branch settings. So here I can set up details like the identity, add my site name, a site motto. I can add a different default language for my brands. For example, maybe you have a team in Spain that usually speak only, they usually speak Spanish, and we want the default language also to be in Spanish. So we can change that, and every time we add a new user to that branch, they will get the default language of the system. Or you don't do anything, because right now what you see on the screen are the details that are inherited from the branch above. So if you're following the same settings, you don't have to do anything here. They will be able to get just the details that you have from the branch above. You can change also the appearance of your own branch. So courses that appear here could be in a list or a grid view. You can choose that. I can change the logo. This will certainly make this page a lot different because I can use the logo of my company. I can also change the icon of my browser. I can change the way that users are added into the platform. Now, usually when we are using the platform for internal training, we don't want users to be able to self-register, so you can disable this option. But if you're selling your courses or if you want to save time and just give the link to users so they can sign up alone, you can allow users to self-register and then verify their account with one of these options. Also, I see a lot of customers that are doing great courses and training in eFront, and they've decided to start selling the courses. So they can have one branch for internal purposes and another branch for selling the courses. And what you can do here is to set up your e-commerce processor. You can choose what payment gateway you would like to use, and you can have also another branch with a different payment gateway, different PayPal, for example, information, so you can start selling your courses as well. And of course, separate single sign-on options, especially if you're working with different customers and partners. Usually they have a system where they log into different applications with just one click. eFront can be one of them. So you can let them know that yes, there is an option to connect your single sign-on tool, and this way allow easier your users to log in into their platform. And especially if the branch comes with its unique URL, this setup will be quite easy. But what else we can do apart from customization? Although again, Nick has done a great job, and they created templates and certificates and all of that, and I can start choosing all these templates to be used in my platform. I can do some things alone. And perhaps this is my favorite feature, notifications. I'm this kind of person that always sends emails, and I want to make sure that everybody are aware of the training they have to do. Well, eFront has taken care of this and by automatically sending emails to your users based on a specific event. So now we're looking at notifications. You can send messages to users automatically when a course has been assigned, when a certificate is about to expire. And by default, when we are in a branch, the notifications that you see here active, and they all have their own text, are the notifications that also exist on a higher level. Now, what if I want to deactivate the notification? Or what if I would like to change the way we communicate with this specific event, for example? Let's click on that. We need to go to the event that we are interested in, and you see now I'm working on the certificate expires event. This means that when there is a certificate that is about to expire, a message will go out to the related user, to the branch admins and the instructors, and I can choose how often I would like to send this message. Now, what I have to do is to slightly change the text here in order to hit update. So I'm just adding a full stop, nothing more. But of course, I could really make changes. I can use the smart tags and automatically publish information about the users on the template. I can change the subject. I can change the body text, include images and videos. But I'm just doing that small thing, so I can click on the update button and show you this. So now we have a different view. Do you notice that? Do you notice that this comes with a tag? It means that this notification has changed ownership. And right now I'm using something different for my own branch. I have not affected other branches with this change. And I'm now able to deactivate the notification if I want to. And again, of course, change the text so I can communicate a bit differently this event to my users. But Nick, let me ask you if you know this. Can we reset that now? I would like to use what you have again on the main site. How can I do this?
Absolutely, you can. So what can you do in order to reset it? As you see, next to where you made it available, active or inactive, you have a little recycle bin. Very easily, you can click on this recycle bin. The system will ask you to delete it. It's okay, just say yes. And then what you can do is refresh the page. If you refresh the page and you have a look again, you will see that it is back here. So no, it's not gone. Indeed, it is available for us and we can actually take benefit of it, and it's going to inherit exactly what came before. So if you want to reset it, maybe something happened, maybe we have a new directive from up top that we need to keep notifications account-wide everywhere, just clicking on the little recycle bin, it's going to reset it and you will revert to what you originally had.
That's awesome. So you get the idea. A lot of work is done on the main side, but and we can use that. We can benefit from that. But I can also customize this so it matches better the needs of this branch, of this purpose that we have created the branch for. The next thing that I would like to show you is how you can access reports in a branch. Again, the most common question that we get regarding branches is that can we have managers only be able to look at the reports of their own team? And yes, this is exactly how branches work. If I go here to reports, I will be able to see just the users added to that branch, the courses that are included in this branch. I won't be able to see what's going on in other branches or the main site. I have to focus on my people, so that's what I'm going to see here. Of course, reports can be exported and scheduled, but the idea is that the data that I'm getting here is just the information for the branch that I belong to. And courses. Again, most of the work has done for Nick. I'm going to repeat this a lot of time. You people on the main side do a lot of work for the branch admins as well. So thank you for that. And you can see here the courses that Nick has created on the main side and shared also with my branch. So I can assign it to my users if I want to. The idea here is that I won't be able to edit this course. When something is not created on the level that I am in, I won't be able to make changes, but I do have the permission to add courses, users to courses. What if you want to create your own courses? You're a branch admin, you feel that something is missing and you want to add more courses. You can do this, of course. You can add a new course. This course will become available automatically to your branch, but it's also going to be visible to the main site. I'm sorry, I'm moving a lot of my hands. I'm always doing that, but we cannot hide anything from the main site. Nick from the main site can hide things from us. He can choose where each thing will go, but we cannot hide something from the main site. So when you create a course, you know that this automatically appears in your branch, and the person on the main side will also be able to see that. And you have the control for everything, of course. But let me share also a tip. It's another question that we get very often about courses. So what if I really wanted to make changes to the sales basics course? I think it's an awesome course and I want to make some small changes just to adjust it to my tone of voice and for my users. Now, the idea how we can go around this is to ask the person from the main site to export the course. And let me really quickly create just a test course. I'm not going to put anything here. I just want to show you this. What the person on the main site can access. When they create courses, they will see all these options, and that's the options that you also see because you create the course on your level. You are able to edit the course, clone it. What we would like to do now is to export this course from the main site. Then my colleague Nick from the main site will give me this file so I can import on my branch level. So essentially get and I create instantly a copy of this course, but now I have the permission to edit because it was created on my level. So that's the way to go around it. Otherwise, courses that are shared directly with the branch cannot be edited. And finally, we told you that you can create unlimited layers of branches. So I am in a branch already. I'm perhaps on the third level. So there are more levels of branches above me, and I want to create more levels of branches under me. So, for example, I want to separate the SDR team. I want people to focus to a specific region in one team and another region in another team. So what I really want to do is to create two more separate training environments to train people. I can create my own sub branches. So from the SDR team, I can create more sub branches. You give it again a name, it automatically gets the parent branch of the SDR right here, and I create this for my people. So no matter how your organization is structured, don't worry. Please check also with our support team and your account manager. I'm sure you will find a way to structure this in a great way in eFront as well to get your training done successfully.
Perfect. And thanks so much, Mary, for all of this very useful information. Now, we know most of the things in regards to branches. However, we have two more tips for you. And one's going to be by me, one is going to be shared by Mary. So as Mary showed us, and let me actually share my screen, it will make a lot more sense if I do that. So I am once more the main administrator of the platform. Now, as Mary already showed us before, and we know this by now, if I wanted to go to a branch to see what's happening, I could go to my users, find here this person, which is a branch administrator, and click on this little arrow to become this person, to impersonate them. Why do we need to do this though? The reason we need to do this is because the branch is an actual physical location, which means because it's a different website in reality, it's a subdomain from our main site. And all that this means is I cannot have a user be in two places at the same time. This is not only valid just for our users, this is something that happens for everybody, even for me, which I am the main admin here of the platform. So since I cannot physically move myself from the main site and go to a branch, then I have to resort to going here and actually impersonating a branch admin. This is very easy to do, but what if you want to do this on a regular basis? Or maybe you want to impersonate 3 different branch admins in 3 different branches. Maybe one of them is a branch admin, but you also want a learner perspective from a different branch. Well, some people for sure are going to keep usernames and passwords for all of these accounts, maybe in a piece of paper, and then copy paste them, log in, log out, or maybe they have them in an Excel sheet and they use that, or they search in their whole user base. That is very fine. An option though that you have in eFront is the ability to use mapped accounts. And it is exactly there for just purpose. You can map different users' account to your own profile, and then you can switch over to these accounts. So let's first off see how we can enable this, and then we can actually see in more detail what it does for us. So to enable it, again, I'm the main admin. I go to my system settings, and I will go to my users tab. And from here, I will click on the advanced option. And on the advanced option, you see I have a setting here for mapped account. These mapped accounts, first off, I can have them disabled, which basically means nobody's allowed to use map accounts. Alternatively, I can disable them for learners and instructors, which means only admin people can use these accounts, or disable it for learners, so everybody who is not a learner will be able to map accounts to their profile, or enable it for everybody. The choice is yours based on your needs. If you have instructors that maybe need to switch branches or be in many different places, you want to enable it for your instructors besides your admins. Entirely your choice. So now that we have this enabled, what can we do? All you have to do is create a new user in the branch that you want, make him the correct user type, and then make sure you have the username and the password of that person. Once you have all of these, you can click here on your profile and click My Account. And by clicking here on your account, you can actually see a tab called Mapped Accounts. And here you can click to add account, and you can put the username and the password of a specific person that you just created and click on add. And you see I have already 2 mapped accounts here. These accounts are not me. You see they have a different last name. The one is an instructor, the other is a learner. So how do you swap between them? Extremely easy. You use your mouse here to click, and then, for example, we can see the instructor. I just moused over the instructor. You see they're even in a different branch. They're in the franchisees branch, and I can see what they have available. I could do the same for the learner, but how do I return back to my administration? The admin option is always available for me. I can click it and I can return back to my main site. So if you want to have people that move around in the platform, if you have the business need to have people that are going to be moving from branch to branch, or maybe from different roles even within branches, very easily you can map accounts, and just by mapping these accounts, you will be able to streamline this process and make everything a lot easier, and this whole switching a lot better for your people.
That is great. And actually, usually an admin is responsible just for one branch. If you need to monitor more than one branches, this is the way to do this. And thank you so much for staying until the end. I have one final tip to share with you, but first, let me share my screen. So you saw before that I logged in as a branch administrator the other way, logging in as that user from the users tab. And you saw what I could access as a branch admin. There were a lot of features, so I can work alone without asking for any help. But what if this is not what you want to do with your branch admins? You have already created a training environment that they can work independently, but maybe they should not access all the features. In that case, you can edit here their user type. When you first create your eFront portal, you will notice there are three user types: the admin, the instructor, and the learner. You can add additional user types and assign it to the right people. That's why you see here a branch admin type. This is what I usually assign to people that work in branches. So what I want to do now is to remove some permissions from people that are working in branches. So let's remove, for example, from anyone that is a branch admin. So whoever has this type will not be able to, for example, view and add their own users. Maybe you're afraid they will add too many users and you're all under one plan. Or maybe you're afraid they will be able to edit information that are really important for you. You can remove this option. They won't see the users feature at all. And this way you're sure they will be able to focus on the other part of the system, creating courses, for example, or creating their own themes. Let's disable one more thing. I want to show you the difference. Let's disable also notifications, the feature I told you before, that a branch admin can change if they want to by transferring actually the ownership of the notification to their own branch. Maybe you really want people to just use the notifications that you have on the main side. So if you give them this option, if they still have this on their screen, they might get confused. They might understand that, okay, I can change that. They let me do this. If you don't want to do this, again, we remove this feature from the screen. So I'm going to save now what I have done to my branch admins, and we're going to test this together by logging in again as that user who was a branch administrator. This is the correct type. This is the type that I was editing, belongs to the SDR branch we created today together. And let's log in. And you say there is no users tab here. I cannot add any users. I cannot access notifications at all. So you're 100% sure that since these features are not available to them, they will be able to work on the other part of the system, what matters more to you, and also in an environment that is created especially for their own needs. And I hope that helped.
Indeed, Mary, that helped a lot. And of course, it's amazing when we always have nice tips to share with the people just to make their life better, because eFront is all about customizing your experience and the experience for your learners. Now, with all these tips, and now we talked about branches, we know what branches are, we know how and when to use them, how to set them up. And of course, we know how it is important for the admin to actually edit the properties of the branch or create unique tools for the branch. And of course, we saw from the perspective of the branch admin, who is going to be the person responsible for the delegation of the branch. They're going to be managing the maybe day-to-day, let's say, running of the branch. So we have all of this information. Now, thanks, first off, for being here with us. I know this is quite a big webinar, so we really appreciate all of you for staying here with us. Of course, first off, I want to give a big thanks to George. George, he was here all the time. He was answering your questions live in the Q&A section, so we really appreciate the time and the effort. And we're not just done with this webinar. We have our own dedicated email address. If you have more questions, if you maybe come up with any ideas for further webinars, if you maybe want to reach out and ask us a couple of things, or you have some ideas generally for the product, feel free to contact us by email. Well, I'm just going to post it here on the chat for you to see. And training team at efrontlearning.com, very easily, just send us an email and we'll be more than happy to talk with you and see how we can get this sorted. Also, we have a little survey. If you're looking for any more suggestions, if you want to reach directly and tell us what you thought of this webinar, we're always open to listen to your feedback. So takes a maximum of 40 seconds maybe, Mary, to fill it in. So
That's
it's a very small survey. So we always appreciate if you take any time to fill in the survey. I'm just going to put the chat on the chat as well here, the address for it. So we'll be more than happy to listen to what you thought about it. After all, this is only our second eFront webinar. Any ideas are more than welcome to let us know what you thought about. So once more, a big thank you to all of you that stayed for this webinar. A thank you to George. And of course, a big thank you to you, Mary, for being here and helping us out.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, everybody.
And until the next webinar, happy training.